talking about okay, got it. Talking about postmarks, most of you will have an idea of the types of postmarks that were in use in Hungary at the time. I've shown them here just to remind you, and they are characterized by the types as used in the monography in the Hungarian handbook. Type F, the single ring, type J with the open bridge, and type K with the closed bridge. Then there is the special cancel for the postal agencies. Those were the ones that were in use mainly. When Hungary fell apart, the new states these places went to had wanted these cancels replaced. First of all, of course, because they wanted to show their own new national identity, but also because these cancels had a specific Hungarian content, which was no longer appropriate in the new situation. First of all, this was true for the place names. As you may know, that apart from Croatia, in all the parts of Hungary, the place names employed were Hungarian, even when there were people with other language, from other language groups who had a completely different name for their own towns. The official name stayed the Hungarian name. Then there was, of course, in these types J and K, the prominence of the Hungarian royal crown, which was a strong symbol for the Hungarian domination. And one thing that baffles some collectors when you look at the internet, you see that on eBay, people tend to read these dates the wrong way, because only in Hungary in this time they had the year followed by the month and then the day. That was a peculiar Hungarian thing, not common in any other country. So those were more or less symbolic for Hungary, and so these needed to be replaced. Producing these new cancels by the new authorities took some time, so these Hungarian survivors stayed in use, and in most cases, I must say, these cancels were used as they were in unaltered fashion over the years after the end of 1918. I'm showing you a few examples from use in different parts in Slovakia and also in Yugoslavia and Romania from 1920 and 1921. And well, apart from the fact that they are used on stamps from the new states, there is nothing else to see that they are not employed by the Hungarian Post anymore. So that was more or less standard procedure, but in some cases things went otherwise. And to really get a grip on what happened, we must have a look at how these cancellors looked, what the construction of the cancellors was. And the most simple cancellors were the types F and J, and also the postal agency cancellors had the same principle, where the year, the month, and the day were separate, slugs, and they fitted into a rectangular space in the canceller, and daily the person responsible had to exchange these slugs, and he had the box with the slugs, and you can see that the month here and the dates. There were 31 different ones for the date, so the date was just one unity, as was the year. And this was so it was quite easy to exchange these things, and they had the same dimensions, the year, the month, and the day. So it was easy to exchange them, exchange those as well. And sometimes this didn't go completely as planned. From before and after 1918, there are many occasions where you can find wrong orders or inverted month or inverted whole dates, or this fellow in Zoljom made a habit of messing things up in 1915 and 1917, and in 1919 he was messing around with his canceller. So I classify this as mistakes, hangovers. You can call them what they want. This is in the type F cancellors. In the type J cancellors, you have the same thing. You see the year upside down. Here's the month upside down. Here's the day upside down. There's the year missing, and well, the whole year slug has gone missing, so he replaces it with a blank one. So those are not, I think, politically motivated in any way, but just mistakes or omissions by the clerks. In the type J, there is the special slug down here. You have seen that this is also a changeable part of the canceller. You could insert either an N for day or an E for night. When you look at prints from these cancels, in 95% of the cases you will see an N. The E is much more difficult to find, but in a rather large percentage of cases there is nothing there. That was the case before 1918 and also after 1918. They just didn't bother with inserting either the N or the E for day or night. They obviously didn't think it was very important to do so. And so you can find these cancels in the whole period. They were used with and without this this special day and night character. But then there was also intentional change in the date order. And I'm showing you a few examples here. And well, for instance, we'll start here with Hermond. In the end of 1918, they just had the normal classical date order. And then in January, they changed the date order from year, month, day to day, month, year, as was normal in other countries. And from that date on, where I have many cancellations from Hermond, and you see from that date on, they always use this new date order. And the same is here true for Ungvar in Carpathia, Ukraine. They changed the thing over later in 1920, as you see. In March, they used the old Hungarian order, and they changed it somewhere in April or so to the new date order. In Leibniz, there is a particularity which is unique to Leibniz only. They didn't like the Hungarian month names, so in Leibniz they used a date letter or a date number for the month. So you have the whole date in numbers instead of the month in letters. But it was a well, original invention by this postmaster. Here it was all type J, type F, the same thing. From a certain date on, the date order was changed. And it was not only the case in Slovakia, but also in Yugoslavia and in Romania. You see the same thing. So there was in all these countries there was a problem with this date order, and when you look at these cancels, the problem with the date order seems more important than the problem with the crown symbol, because they changed the date order in all these cancels, but the crown remained Hungarian. So they found they thought the date order was more important to change than the crown, obviously. Anyway, that was all about the cancellors types F and J. The type K canceller had a completely different construction. This is a photograph and a drawing of the construction of the type K canceller, and you can see there the numbers for the dates and also for the month are on wheels, and these wheels can be turned around an axis, and when you have them in a certain position, you have this this pin which fixes the position of the wheels. So what the clerk had to do every day is take out this pin, turn the date to the new date, insert the pin again, and use the canceller. This, of course, made it well, impossible to change the order of the year, month, and date easily, because these wheels are, well, just stuck in a solid housing, and there is an axis here, but the axis cannot be easily removed. The only thing that can be easily removed is the pin here. This axis is fixed. So to change the date order in these cancellors is much more difficult than it is in the easier type of the other types of canceller. Nonetheless, people got to work on this date order. They didn't mind the trouble, obviously. And you see here in Malacca, they changed it in between January 10th and January 18th. You see the same B canceller with a changed order. They neatly changed the wheels for the date and the year, and for some reason they also put the N at the end and the hour before that. The result looks okay. Well, there's some more examples here. You see February cancel from Pozhny, and the same cancel, the one H cancel in August, and the one Y cancel in February and in August. So you see the same change here in these types type K cancels. This is the result in Nutschenbad. Please excuse my Hungarian pronunciations. The same thing again with the 5 in the N reversed. And here's another example from Rutka, where it also was also changed. So these people went into quite a bit of trouble to change the date order, but as you can see, they all left the crowns in place. It is the same as with the type F and type J cancels. And here are some examples from Romania, and also from, this is also Romania, where they did the same thing. And here you can see sometimes it didn't go so well. Here you see the hour at the start, and then the day, the month, and the year. And here you see the day, the month, and then the hour and the year at the end. So it wasn't so very easy to do, but anyway, they went and changed the date order anyway in this manner. Interesting to see. In other cases, they thought the date order was not so much the problem as the crown was. So in other places, the postmaster hastened to get rid of the crown, and as you have seen from the previous pictures, this crown, as the name of the town, is just part of the front plate of the Chancellor. So you have to do something to this front plate. And there are two methods you can think of. You can fill in the spaces around the crown, and then you get a black blot, and there's no crown visible anymore. But the results looked decidedly messy. This is not a very attractive way to deal with this problem. And moreover, when you did fill this space and use the Chancellor for some time, then the pitch or whatever it was they used fell out again, and then the crown reappeared after some time. So it was not a very good idea to employ this method. So the other method is using a chisel, and you can clearly see that here the crown is chiseled away, and there's an open space left where the crown was. In these cases, the last three, the method was a bit more sophisticated. They kept the crown there, but they, with some instrument, chisel or whatever, they took away parts of it, so that more or less lines survive of the old crown, and then you get more or less agree as if there had never been a crown. But you can still see this is done by more or less primitive means. This is what you can see in some cases, and in other cases, there's another third method is hiring in a professional who replaced the crown with neat strips of metal, so that the result looks much more professional than it did in the previous cases. And at the same time, they changed the date as well. And it will, you will see this is all done in Croatia, where the place names were already okay. They were already Croatian, so there was no immediate need to replace the cancels, because the name was already okay. And if you change the date order and get rid of the crown, you can use it without problem. And you can see that into the 20s, this is all from 1921, they kept on using these old Hungarian cancels, altered in this manner. As an aside, I'm showing you a few crownless cancels that were officially made by the Hungarian Post in 1919. As you are aware, in November 1918, the kingdom fell apart and Hungary was proclaimed a republic. And so the postal authorities decided that the crown, which was always in the consuls they provided the post offices with, had to go. So you will find these consuls without crown also in the monography. It is a rather short list of consulars, but they were made officially and well, given out by the Hungarian Post, and some of those were given to post offices, which shortly afterward became, well, as in these cases, Slovakian, Czechoslovakian post offices. I didn't hear that. Was that a comment or? Anyway, these councillors went to Slovakian post offices, and so there was no action needed by the authorities in these post offices to remove the crown, because they were already crownless. But most of these were just well, used in Hungarian post offices, and you can see them in the 20s and the 30s still in use without a crown. But these were only emitted for a short period of time, because, as you know, in early March 1920, Horthy proclaimed that Hungary was a kingdom again, without a king, as you know, and ruled, as they say, by a marshal without a fleet. So it was a curious situation. Anyway, they reinstated the crown after 1920, but in this short period, they emitted these crownless councils. I will conclude this introduction by a few examples from the different parts of Hungary that fell away from the mother country. Starting with Fiume, as you know, it was independent for a short time, and then went to Italy. But in that time, the Hungarian councillors were modified in a specific way. You see different councils here, and they all have the same procedure. This is the original one, 1L, and this is the modified one with the time of day at the beginning, and then the date after that. And you see the same thing here, and here you see that they also changed the names of the month, or some of the month at least. Here's July now in Italian language. So they had quite a lot of labor to do to change the councillors in Fiume. One very nice example from Slovakia I find is the Rajec councillor. I'm showing the same councillor, the B councillor, as it was in Hungarian times with the traditional date order, with the crown, etc. In April 1919. And then in June 1919, you can see that they changed the date order and it means result. The year and the date were reversed. And then they thought, well, we can go one step further. And you see in early 1920 that the crown was removed. And also the Z was removed here because the Slovakian name for the town was Rajec without a Z. So they could alter the place name easily. And did so. This is one of the few examples where this happened to a Hungarian council. And then you see that in October they had the new Czechoslovak councillor with his place name Rajec Slovensko because there was also a Rajec in Czechia, in the Czech lands. So they had to add that this was the Slovakian Rajec. So that was Slovakia. In Romania, there is a case which is famous also in your circles because Alan keeps on writing about these. The Lugos Cancels, the original Hungarian Cancels, were changed there to the Romanian name Luhoi, and the date order was changed at the same time and the crown removed. So they were well adapted to the new political reality in Romania, and these councillors were used for a surprisingly long time. This is an example from 1934, but there are also examples from 1944. So they were used for several decades after the political turnover. Yugoslavia has a very interesting part, which is the part of Hungary that went to Slovenia. There are two small pieces of land called Prekmurje and Medimurje, and there they employed a professional to change these councillors. This is the most extreme example. Saturnia is the Hungarian name. It was renamed to Čakovec, and here you see the original Hungarian council, and they completely took out the original name, inserted Čakovec, and also at the bottom they removed the decoration and put Čakovec in Cyrillic letters there, and changed the date order and removed the crown. So you can hardly recognize it as a Hungarian council except for the whole form and the 9 to 1 year indicator, which is a sort of giveaway. In the same region, they had other councillors as well. So there was a Hungarian Lentvazarli, and well, in Slovenian, this town was called Dubrovnik, So they took away the whole name and replaced it with Dubrovnik. So you will not find this chancellor in the monography because it wasn't issued by the Hungarian Post at all. It was just made locally after 1919. And the same goes for Peter Hegi, which was recalled Petrovci, and the old Mura Zombat was renamed Murska Sobota, and these councillors were also very neatly refurbished with the new names. This is well, really an example. Only a few are known. In Austria, the takeover from Hungary to Austria went completely differently from the other parts of the country that broke away. There was a long haggling, and only late in 1921 this sliver of Burgenland was given over to Austria, and then the Austrians came in with their new councillors, armed with their new councillors. So this is just a few days after the takeover. The Hungarian cards could still be used, but the new Großwarasdorf councillor was already there for this place, which used to be called Szabadbárd until that time. So there was no need to do anything to the Hungarian councils. They were just thrown away. And then finally, in Hungary itself, there was also tampering with councillors. After 1919, when the Republic was called, some local post offices decided to remove the crowns from their councillors. So you see a few examples here where this was done locally. The crowns were removed, and they were used well from 1919 presumably, well until they were replaced. But this is 1933, as you can see. And then even after World War II. Some of these type K councillors from the years 1910 were still in use, and you can see that after World War II there was a new reason to remove the crowns, and here from 1949, 1954, and even 1972, you see that these type K councillors still functioned, but with the crowns removed. So the altered consoles are not just something from 1920, but from later dates as well. So this concludes my my presentation. If there are any questions or comments, I would love to hear them. Joseph.
Joe?
Yeah, I got a couple for you. You're pretty good with all the different town names and the changes of the town names. You know, when political regions change. Where do you get your information? I heard you say monography. You know.
Yeah. Well, that is of course the monography gives you the information on to which country the original all the Hungarian towns went to, but there are other publications like I have it somewhere here. Anyway, where the old and new town names are mentioned side by side. For instance, the book by Maffei and Zip, which I'm showing you now. has the same information, but also gives the new town name. And then there are, of course, the publications from Czechoslovakia itself. There's a Czechoslovakian monography which gives all the new town names and the cancels which were used out from the old.
So there's actually a couple of monographies.
Yes, there are. There's a lot of literature.
I gotta figure out which ones they are and buy them. You know. And the second question is, you know, a lot of your cancels, you show letters down at the bottom, right? L's, J's, you know, F's. I saw a bunch of them. What are they? What do they reference?
They well, they are just the index. The indexes. I think you refer to those. They had several councillors in one post office, and each of the councillors had its own index letter. So there's an A, a B, and it can run on to K or whatever.
I was wondering if they were assigned to classes of male or clerks.
Yeah, maybe some were used in certain for certain types of actions. I don't know, but they or each clerk could have his own councillor. I don't know what the procedure was. But anyway, these are index letters, well, differentiating the different cancels in one post office.
Have you ever exhibited this? I mean, I heard you talk about, well, you know, the first one of three known, that kind of stuff. I mean, that lends itself, you know, that kind of material to a nice exhibit.
Well, I have never exhibited, I must say. I have published, and I will go on publishing about these things, and I like the opportunity to show them in a talk like this, but I've never had the inclination to turn it into an exhibit. But well, it's possible, I guess. Yes.
We certainly appreciate it. I'll tell you what, you got good knowledge in all this.
Thank you.
How long you are collecting this, Johan?
Well, I've been collecting this for, let's say 20 years, plus or minus, something like that. So I was fortunate enough to first buy a few 100,000 Hungarian stamps, just ordinary stamps in masses, and then also a few boxes full of old Czechoslovakian stamps from the first emission, which forms the basis of my collection, also my Czechoslovakian collection. You can once you have a few 100,000 of a stamp, then you can really figure out things.
Yeah, that's where I was going. Sorry.
Have you ever had seen or have possession of one of the cancellors themselves, or just pictures?
I have just pictures. No, I don't know if they are in circulation, but these pictures, well, Paul sent them to me from a Hungarian publication from 2018, and they were very instructive. Once you see the pictures, you understand what had to be done to change them around.
It was fascinating. I wonder if they might be in the Hungarian, the museum, the bag museum. Yeah. They are.
Well, Paul can tell you, but the publication was by someone from the Postal Museum in Budapest.
There are two museums in Budapest. One is the Stamp Museum, Bélyeg Museum, and the other one is the Posta Museum, the Post Museum. It's in different place.
Yeah,
and it's a different type of museum, but both are very nice to visit.
Johan, that was great. Any other questions?
No.
Okay.
Wonderful presentation.
Wonderful.
Excellent. Yes.
Sorry.
I will, we'll get it posted up on the website so other people can see it that didn't attend. And I'll make sure people are aware that it's there.
Okay.
Johan, thank you very much.
Thank
One
you.
other note, we don't have one. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Our next presentation will be in January, second weekend in January, and that'll be Chubba on the Millennium cards, 1896 Millennium cards. So that should be quite interesting also.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Everybody have a great holiday season if we don't talk before January.
Okay.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.